Did the Moscow police get it right? Is Bryan Kohberger responsible for the Idaho Quadruple murder? We're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Hyde. Welcome to Hide and Seek Media. Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the show. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. The show is brought to you by the Hide and Seek Media store. If you're like me and you like to spark a conversation or make a statement without saying too much at all, hit the link down below. Check out all the cool merch I have to offer. And if you use code 1776, I'll give you 20% off your entire order. So, Bryan Kohberger has been arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of first-degree burglary in connection with the Idaho Quadruple murder that happened back in November 13th of 2022. But as the probable cause affidavit was released, we learned that Moscow police had Bryan Kohberger as a suspect long before late December when they made the arrest. They had him under surveillance for a number of weeks, and to me that seems a little odd. So we're going to dig into the probable cause affidavit, look at the evidence that Moscow police has gathered against Bryan Kohberger, and then I'm going to poke holes in as much of this evidence as I can. And play devil's advocate and show you where I think Bryan's defense will lie. So normally I bring up some news articles and we go over that and watch a few clips or whatever. But for this video, I'm just going to go over the affidavit and we're going to discuss the evidence that they have against Bryan. And like I said, I will try to poke holes in as much of this evidence as I can because a lot of it seems to be circumstantial. So let's get right to it. Right. Here's the affidavit. I've got it pulled up here. And it's a statement from Officer Brett Payne. Right. And so it says here, the below information is provided by Brett Payne, who is a duly appointed, qualified, and acting peace officer within the county of Idaho, the state of Idaho. Brett Payne is employed by Moscow Police Department in the official capacity or position of corporal and has been a trained and qualified peace officer for approximately 4 years. Corporal Payne is being assisted by members of the Idaho State Police and agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 4 p.m., Moscow Police Department Sergeant Blaker and I responded to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, hereafter the King Road residence, to assist with scene security and processing of a crime scene associated with 4 homicides. Upon our arrival, the Idaho State Police forensic team was on scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. OFC Smith and I entered the King residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. OFC Smith and I walked upstairs to the second floor. OFC Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Zana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Zana Kernodle's, hereafter Kernodle room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified as Kernodle's, laying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appear to have been caused by an edged weapon. It also states here that he finds Chapin in the same room. Okay, and so right off the bat, we're getting the officer's detailed description of the crime scene. As he's walking towards Zana's room, he can see the body inside the room. So we know that Zana and Ethan were found in Zana's room on the second floor, and Kaylee and Madison were found in Kaylee's room on the third floor. So this affidavit they go through where they find the bodies and all that. But there was something that was interesting There was the one big key piece of evidence that was found that we're just now learning about in this affidavit was a knife sheath that was stamped K-Bar USMC and had the Marine Corps logo on it. So it says here, as I entered this bedroom on the third floor, I could see two females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonzalez and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had K-Bar, USMC, and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and Anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA, suspect profile, left on the button snap of the knife sheath. So this is the DNA that they later were able to link to Bryan Kohberger. So it wasn't that he cut himself. It wasn't semen or saliva or spit. It was touch DNA, epithelials, skin cells that were left on a button on a sheath. There's a lot more evidence that we're going to get into that kind of makes it look bad for Bryan Kohberger. But the knife sheath is what they're using as like hard concrete evidence that Bryan Kohberger was in that house because they have his DNA in the house on something they found in the house. Well, let me just poke a hole in that argument right there, because if I were a defense attorney, I would state that K-Bar knife could have been stolen from Bryan. It could have been something Bryan touched at a store and then somebody came behind him and bought it. There's a number of ways that Bryan Kohberger's DNA could have gotten on that knife sheath. And there's a number of ways that knife sheath could have gotten into that house outside of Bryan Kohberger. So, like I said, a lot of this evidence is circumstantial and can be argued away. So, by a good defense attorney. So we'll see, right? But it goes on to say, as part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State police detectives, and FBI agents. Two of the interviews included BF and DM. Now, these are the two roommates that survived this attack and lived in the house. Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates to the victims. BF's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. Based on the numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents, as well as my review of the evidence, I have learned the following. On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle were seen by BF at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Pierce Drive from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. November 13th. BF also estimated that at approximately 1:45 a.m., Chapin and Kernodle returned to the King Road residence. BF also stated that Chapin did not live at the King Road residence but was a guest of Kernodle. Gonzalez and Mogan were at a local bar, the Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. Gonzalez and Mogan can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Club around 10 p.m. on November 12th and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Gonzalez and Mogan can be seen on video at a local food vendor called The Grub Truck at 318 South Main Street in downtown Moscow. The Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on a streaming platform, Twitch, which is available for public viewing on their website. This video was captured by law enforcement. A private party, and it's been whited out here, reported that he provided a ride to Gonzalez and Mogan at approximately 1:56 a.m. from downtown Moscow in front of the Grub Truck to the King Road residence. DM and BF both made statements in their interviews that indicated occupants of the King Road residence were at home at 2 a.m. and asleep or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. Okay, and so We have two witnesses that state that everybody was home and in their rooms by 4 a.m. But what DM states next in the affidavit is what is really striking. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Gonzalez playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonzalez say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Cornoto's phone showed this could also have been Cornoto, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. DM stated she looked out her bedroom door. She looked out her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Cornoto's room. DM then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17, a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Cornoto's bedroom. Okay. But the dog was upstairs and on the other side of the house. So I don't know why mentioning where the camera is in relation to Cornoto's room really matters. I mean, I guess it's maybe just to make references to show how close it is to the house itself. But you could have just said King Road residence, not Cornoto's bedroom. So it goes on to say, DM stated she opened the door a third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the backsliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. DM did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. The combination of DM's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from BF and DM's phones, and a video of a suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team, by the first using a presumptive blood test and then amino black, a protein stain that detects the residence of cellular material. The detected shoe print showed a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the pattern of a van-type shoe sole, just outside the door of DM's bedroom. This is consistent with DM's statement regarding the suspect's path of travel. Okay, so why did he not attack her? To me, that's where I kind of start to waver a little bit on his guilt. Why would he leave another victim alive? Like, he had already killed the two girls upstairs. He'd already killed Cornoto and Chapin downstairs, and it's on the second floor. And so walking past her would seem reasonable to me that you just take her out too, right? No matter whether you're covered or not. Like, she was good enough to give a description that, that matches Bryan Kohberger almost to the T. Now, there's like 11 more pages of this, and I'm not going to sit here and go through every page because this video would be an hour long. But they have, I mean, the police had cell phone data from Kohberger that showed him in the area multiple times over multiple months, and including around the time of the murder, he was in the area. Except during the time of the murder, his phone was shut off. And then, of course, the video footage of the white Elantra. All of that, like all of the evidence, is circumstantial, right? How do we know that's his white Elantra on the video? How do we know that Bryan Kohberger wasn't seeing somebody else in that area, and that's why he was there multiple times? How do we know Bryan Kohberger didn't moonlight as a Uber driver or DoorDash delivery guy or whatever, and that's why his phone was there a number of times? There's a lot of things we don't know yet, right? And so there's a lot of ways you can poke holes in the evidence because we don't know all of these things. And for me, that's why I'd like to see more than just this probable cause affidavit, because yes, the affidavit does lay out pretty good timeline, but then and it has some decent circumstantial evidence. But I have questions. Like, when they knew in late November, I believe November 29th is when his car was identified at Washington State University as a potential, suspect vehicle or whatever. So from that moment, he was on the police radar, and then they do the DNA and all that. Now, I get you can't, because you didn't get a DNA match until after he had left Washington to go to Pennsylvania. But if you were following him around for 2 weeks before he left for Pennsylvania, how did you not get his DNA then? How'd you not bring this guy in for questioning because he drove a white Elantra and lived less than 15 minutes away from the murder? You should have at least questioned him, but none of that happened. Instead, you let him roam around for another month and a half. If this guy was as dangerous as everyone thinks he is and says he is, why did they not detain him when they knew he was a suspect? Get him in bring him in for questioning. I get maybe you don't want to spook him. You're trying to gather more evidence and you're hoping he makes a mistake so you can get more evidence. But if you're trying to make the community safe and make everybody feel comfortable, then getting a killer off the streets seems more important. And then another thing that seemed kind of odd to me was you knew there was no DNA from blood or saliva or semen at the scene from the killer. But yet I found a story from the New York Post where it says, here, I'll pull it up. It says FBI asked police to pull Bryan Kohberger over to get images of his hands. Why do you need images of his hands if there was no blood from the suspect recovered at the scene? It was just touch DNA on a button. That makes me wonder, did they find blood evidence and are only using the touch DNA evidence as, enough to get probable cause, and are holding back what they have until it's time for trial? It's possible. It would be smart on their part if they did that. But a lot of what they have can be explained away. And I'm not saying Bryan Kohberger is innocent. By all the evidence that's gathered by Moscow police and the FBI, it looks like he's guilty. But this is America. And you're innocent until proven guilty. And there have been a lot of people who were innocent who were found guilty and sent to jail on circumstantial evidence. So I won't say whether he's innocent or guilty. What I will say is the circumstantial evidence that Moscow police and the FBI have gathered so far, any good defense attorney can rip apart. So if we want to get to the bottom of this case, we need to see all the evidence they have. And if this probable cause affidavit is all the evidence, well, then they have a big problem on their hands. Because I'm no attorney and I can pick apart their circumstantial evidence. But all in all, I think just because you're a introvert and just because you like what you study and you're really into what you're studying doesn't make you a murderer, doesn't make you guilty. Okay? Just because you're an introvert and you are really into criminalistics and criminology and all that doesn't make you a murderer. But I want to know what you guys think. Did he do it? Did he not do it? Is he going to get away with it? Is he going to get off? Is Bryan Kohberger a serial killer? Did he do this before? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. But I'm going to leave it there. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. Smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video, the topic, and the channel. I love to engage with my viewers, so feel free to fire away. But if you want to help support the channel, the best thing you can do is hit that share button and share this video on all social media platforms. Those interactions will show the algorithm that my video needs more impressions, and that's how we grow. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and I'll catch you later. Peace.